Well, hello, sunshine. I am going to do a bonus card for you. I was just getting ready for a session with a client, and I thought, you know what? I really felt guided to pull a card for everybody. So this will be a bonus card. I'm not sure when you'll be getting it, but I felt guided to pull a card from the Romance Angels deck, which is usually connected to relationships. And I thought, I don't usually, do that. But anyways, there's something here for everybody that needs to be heard. So the card that I pulled for everybody is the Healing Family Issues. It says, your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. So there's some type of healing that needs to take place in your life right now that is there may be a block, right? Not necessarily a block, but just something that needs to be worked through, connected to your family, connected to a parent, or connected to a sibling, and somehow that could be affecting your relationship, or your partnership with somebody, romantic relationship, if you are in one. If you're not in a relationship, this is somehow coming forward to help you to see that there's healing that needs to take place within your family unit. And it could be, well, it's multiple things, and it's going to affect everybody differently. But it's interesting, as I got on here too, it like went right to my throat chakra. So there's something about communication, right? Where you may need to communicate, or you may need to say something and to someone in your family. But I'm hearing to do it in a loving way. And then I'm also hearing too that there are some times where it's better to take a step back and to not say something too, that you may want to review, your feelings about it and your thoughts about it, and come at it from a very, um, I'm hearing lovingly detached, right? Spiritual approach, where, because if you're yelling, right? If you're yelling or you're trying to get your point across, that never works. And a lot of times people need space, right? Maybe somebody says something and it hurt your feelings, and you're trying to figure out a way of how to address it. And everybody's different in how they do that. So sometimes, like, we might overreact in the moment, we can get triggered, right? and and we can feel really frustrated, but nobody's hearing anything and nothing is getting resolved. So a lot of times, it's best to take a step back and say, okay, what is the result that I'm looking for in this situation? How do I want this to be resolved? But also, how are you going to feel good about yourself with communicating effectively? Because if you overreact, you're putting up a boundary, you're putting up resistance between anything resolving anyway. So there's no point in doing that. And again, we all overreact at different times, and that's okay. And it's a learning experience. So take it and evaluate it and look at it. How can I react differently so that I feel good about how I responded next time, right? Or how can I feel good about how I'm going to respond this time? What is it that I need to say so that the what I'm trying to convey gets communicated? It doesn't mean the other person's going to hear you or listen to you, okay? And so that could also be why you may decide not saying anything is better. And for me, there was a situation recently that came up, and it was better for me to not say anything, because there's no point, because the person wouldn't hear me anyway. So why would I waste my energy and get frustrated and upset? I can't change that person, right? That um I'm not going to say the relationship, it doesn't really matter, but it's, as a family member, it's difficult because um I have to I have to set healthy boundaries, and I have to decide, is it worth my energy? And if am I going to get anything out of it anyway if I say something? And so having boundaries, right, and having distance and having space is better for me. Oh, in the long run. Now, there are definitely times when it's important that you do need to say something. You need to stand your ground. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to speak and communicate what you're feeling, regardless of how it is impacted for the other person. In some situations, that's necessary. But the majority of the time, we're needing to figure out, what is the result that I'm looking for in this? Am I going to get what I need out of this, or am I just going to get more frustrated? So, because some people aren't able to hear you, and you have to accept that. And if you keep pushing, you're just going to get more and more frustrated. And so, taking a step back is saying, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to spend time with people that matter to me, right? But I'm also going to look at this situation and figure out how can I communicate what I'm trying to say and do it in a way that I feel good about, right? That is going to be representative of me being authentic, right? Being true to myself and coming from a place of love, but setting a healthy boundary at the same time. And again, it depends what the relationship is and what the situation is, but there's something here that is coming forward for you where there is healing that needs to take place. So it it could be where it's just that you may need to just accept this is who this person is, right? I have two different situations in my life with my parents. So, I have to address them very differently in how I go forward. And I have to do what's best for me because otherwise I'm not going to be my best self, right? I'm going to be betraying myself in a way. So that may be part of what this is for you too. And when we're trying to communicate what we need to say, doing it in a way that is authentic and true to ourselves is the best way to go forward. Because if you overreact, you're just going to get frustrated. So you need to review that and you need to look at that and figure out, why am I overreacting? What is the core issue? And really, is that person ever going to change? No, they may not. They may be like, I am who I am, and a lot of times that's who, a parental figure is. They aren't going to change. You're going to have to change. You're going to have to change your response. You're going to have to change your reaction and how you interact with the person. And this can go also in a significant other relationship, right? And it can be difficult. But again, I feel like there is healing that is taking place here. So if there was an issue or an argument, it's like, okay, I'm willing to move beyond that or past that, or this is how I can view the situation so that I feel like I'm okay, right? And that's what you're needing to look at. How can you allow this space, this openness for healing to take place? And it may not even involve the other person. This could be just work that you need to do about it, and that you need to get clear that you're willing to move forward, or that you're willing to, understand and accept this person isn't going to change, and I'm not going to try to make them change, and I'm just going to show up differently in the relationship, right? And um, so see how this impacts you, right? How does this resonate with you? How are you needing to shift your perspective? Because it's always about us. It really is never about the other person. Even if they're doing something, saying something, you have a choice and a decision to remove yourself out of the situation. If it's toxic, if it's overly negative, you need to set boundaries and not spend time with the person or have very short, limited contact. Um, Getting yourself all worked up, it doesn't serve anybody. So if that's the case, you really need to look at what is going on within me. Why am I getting this? Why am I responding this way? And when you do that, that's where your peace is going to come in, because it's all about you. Ultimately, it's all about you and how you respond and how you choose to respond. So it is a choice. So just, take some time to think that over and give yourself grace, as we're always working through issues within our families. Our closest relationships are our biggest triggers, right? It's like those are the people that are going to push our buttons. So how you would act to a stranger, you wouldn't act like that, you would act differently with a family member versus a stranger. And that's because we have complex relationships with people, and, we have expectations. So for them and for ourselves, it's important to take a step back and really review the situation and say, okay, I want to come from this place that I feel good about how I'm responding, and I'm choosing to respond this way, right? And that is where your power lies. So take your power back in the situation and just, contemplate this. Let me know, how this card, this message today resonates with you. And I'm sending you so much love, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.